don't ever, when you're traveling, see, by the time your relations or your friends, they find out that you're traveling, that's when they want to be sending you on errands. No go message for anybody. Don't collect anything.
So, welcome to this pre-departure orientation. Specifically, I'm talking to the person who is going to be watching the 7 of us today. This is a travel abroad pre-departure orientation, and the goal is to help someone who is traveling for the first time. Either they are traveling to visit a new country, or they are relocating for real, to help this person understand some of the things they should think about, mistakes that we ourselves have made that the person should avoid, and hopefully this will help the person to minimize mistakes. So just in case somebody is watching this, we thought of you before making this video. And to start, I'm just going to say, who do we have here? So on this video right now, we have people that have traveled before, either once or multiple times. Myself, I've been to 13 different countries. And definitely I've traveled more than that number of times, right? Because some countries I've visited them several times as well. So we have seasoned travelers, first-time travelers, and all that. We also have Mary, who is here with us because she's traveling for the first time. So she's just going to keep us in check. Why is this important? This is very important because sometimes some of the things we learn from experience, there's no one particular place where you just go and you're able to learn them, right? Somebody I know, Steve Harvey, once said that you can Google a lot of things, but some of the things you can't Google is experience, because most times those experiences, they are not documented. So what we are doing today is document our experience so that somebody else can benefit from it. And it's important because it's going to help the person that is watching us right now to make less mistakes, if possible, to not make any mistake on their travel abroad journey, right? And who is this for? I want to say that this is for anyone who is traveling for the first time, or maybe sometimes, maybe somebody travel. Let me say somebody who is traveling for the first time, especially if they are going with flights, because you can travel. Let's say you're a Nigerian and you have traveled to Benin Republic before, and you have traveled on road. The experience is very different compared to if you're traveling to Benin Republic from Nigeria and you're going through flights, because of immigration checkpoints and all the things you have to go through. So specifically, we're going to be focusing on people traveling by flights. And as we can see, this is all of us here are Africans, right? So I believe that we'll be saying it from the African perspective, like someone who is traveling, from the African perspective. I would like to say that an American traveling to UK may not necessarily feel these things the way we ourselves feel it. The perspective may be different. So we're going to be talking from African perspective. So if you're a Nigerian, Ghanaian, Ugandan, where you're from Rwanda, you're from South Africa, Liberia, Sierra Leone, Cameroon, right? I think I've mentioned Ghana and Nigeria. So irrespective of the country from Africa that you are from, you're going to find the tips we're going to share here very, very helpful. So the outline we're going to go with is, so we have about 4 different questions, which is, when preparing for travel, what worried us the most? Then we go to, when traveling, what challenges did we encounter and how we solved those challenges? Then we'll talk about the things we know now because we have traveled, that we wish somebody who is traveling for the first time, like you that you're watching, that we wish that right? Emmanuel, please, over to you.
Basically, what worried me the most while traveling was the fear of missing my flight. Okay, so based on how my trip, the preparation to my trip went through, I had little time in preparing for the trip. I got to know last minute that I needed to be at the airport 4 hours before the flight time. So I didn't know this before now, so I didn't factor this in my plan on how to
Mm.
get to the airport before by 4 hours before the flight. And being that I had an early morning flight, 7 a.m., so that would be 7 hours before, um, 4 hours before 7 a.m. would be let's take 2 to 3 a.m. So that's pretty early to get out of the house, find the transportation and all. So I had that challenge, and so for that was a challenge that I had then. That's worried me the most about missing my flight. I was scared I was going to miss my flight, and for someone now who will be missing the flight, the consequences of that would be having to like book a as in a subsequent flight, and that would also cost money as well, or trying to like reschedule. It would also cost money as well. So that scared me the most. That worried me the most. So I'll talk about exchanging the currency exchange. Okay, so I had that issue as well. So like I said earlier, my preparation, I had a short timeline for my preparation. So didn't also had I didn't also have enough time to go to the bank or do the exchange before getting to the airport. So I had to wait to do my exchange at the airport, which was also a little bit taxing as well because there are so many persons, and I also had to like get that done before I'm able to be checked in to get to board the plane. And this also I also had noticed that during the exchange period there is something about for dollars. So there is something that about having an old dollar note which could be rejected in the country where you're going to. Okay, so that aspect I never knew about that before taking having that trip experience. So that was something I that was a very big challenge I encountered during my trip. Okay, I solved it by doing the exchange at the airport there, which I used. That was like my last resort to make the exchange at the airport before my flight takeoff. So I'll talk about punctuality. Okay, so if I had known before my first trip that I needed to be at the airport 4 hours before the time, before my flight time. That would have also helped me better in preparing myself for the trip and also better organize myself as regards, the currency exchange and also every other requirement that I needed for my trip as well, like the yellow fever card and all. So some of those things I had to wait to like get to the airport to like get those things done, which is not really like um, the best case scenario to take in such a thing because so many things could go wrong. You could get to the airport and there is a scarcity in the currency that you are seeking to exchange, and then that could also be a challenge as well. So based on all I have said so far, I would say one, punctuality. Okay, being punctual. Now, I have been a first time traveler now, and I know this for sure that you need to be punctual. So you need to be early to the airport to avoid missing your flight, to avoid being tensed up in terms of in regards to the check-in that is needed to be done at the airport before you're able to board your flight. Then I'd also advise that anyone who is traveling should check their flight itinerary. They should check their flight itinerary properly to ensure that they have met all requirements for their flight, for their trip. So many countries, so many countries, depending on whatever country the person will be traveling to, has they have different requirements, different policies or immigration policies as well. So in some countries, they will require you to have a certain amount of money that you hold before traveling. That could also seem or sound like a kind of a proof of fund that you have enough funds to like take care of yourself for at least for that particular duration. That is that. There is also some countries that would also want you to have a particular amount of money for maybe COVID tests when you land at the airport in their country. And these are things that you should have prior knowledge to before you get to the airport, and to ensure that you're better organized and prepared.
Thank you so much, Obina, for all the advice that you gave. I'm just going to jump to the next person, and at the end I can summarize and then also give my own advice. Thank you so much. So we are moving over to Jane.
Good evening, everyone. I don't know if I would say it's my intuition. I'm an African woman, yeah. So there's this thing that comes to your head and says, what if the plane crash? What if this one happens? You just have a lot of things in your head. Worst for me was that I even felt so sick, and then I could have attributed it to anything. But then again, I told myself that, God, don't open this door. You want to close it, and I just started, speaking life to myself. I said, no, what if this is predestined? What if nothing goes wrong? What if God wants you to have this experience? So I had to now begin to speak life. Some of us get so afraid that, in fact, the fear now begins to work against you. So I had this feeling, and then I fought it with the words that I said. I'll wake up every morning and tell myself that you don't travel finish, you don't go come back. So that's it, for the first one. I fought a lot of battles in my head, but the way I won was to now begin to speak positive things. I began to see the good part of it. What if I don't go? As there nothing I would have lost. So it was better for me to just go there and experience it and come back. And of course, Bible says we will not die young. So yeah. So while I was traveling from Lagos, from my sister's house to the airport, I didn't think there was going to be traffic on the way. I just was leaving, say 3 hours to the time, and the taxi guy already told me that I will be there by this time. This now work time, traffic won't be there. And so by the time we got very close to the airport, amazingly we were stuck there for as long as 2 hours. And I started thinking of the Nollywood method. I've seen a lot of celebrities want to miss their flight, and they will jump on a bike, and you see them. And at that point, you're already so disorganized. And then I was sweating profusely. I said, no, there's no way this is happening. And the man just kept calming me down, and, so that is it. I think, should I give a solution to this? Yeah. Now, so what you can do is, I found out that one of us who was traveling had gotten to the airport as early as 12 noon when the flight was for 6. She had nothing to lose. She had checked in, and then she was moving about the airport until we all started coming. So if I have the chance to do this again, I'll get there like 5 hours to the time, so as not to tell stories that touch. I had a lot of experiences, though. There were a lot of things that happened, and for me, it was like a learning experience. But let me say this. What do you know now? Don't ever, when you're traveling, see, by the time your relations or your friends, they find out that you're traveling, that's when they want to be sending you on errands. No go message for anybody. Don't collect anything. Apart from the fact that, even if your luggage is small, they give you you have a whatever, what's that thing now? There's a limit to what you can take, even when you think what you have is small and you can accommodate what they have. Don't take the risk, because you can't tell how whatever they have can implicate you or slow you down. So do not collect, even if that person is Jehovah Jireh. Don't take the risk of carrying anything for anybody. In fact, sometimes don't even let them, are you free? Is your box empty? Or tell them your box that you even have overload and you don't know how to sort it out. That's a very big challenge. When you get to the airport as a first-time traveler, don't be don't feel ashamed to go to the customer service and find out if there's anything you need on your way back. Do you get that? Like, oh, hello, I'm traveling for the first time. I don't know. Are there policies? Are there things that I have to do if I'm coming back to my country? And so they will be able to tell you. We had an experience again where the policy changed 24 hours to the time. Normally, they don't do COVID test when you're coming back, because especially when it's a short trip, like you're there for just 3 days. And in 24 hours, there was a policy that came out and we didn't check. So be confident enough to say, please, Oga, is there anything else I need to know? So put all of that to, find out all of that and make sure that, you implement it, whatever it is that they tell you to do, even to the smallest dot, make sure that it's carried out so it doesn't affect you. Open your mind to have fun. First off, life is once. Open your mind to have fun. And then, of course, make memories. That's one thing about me. As soon as I got back from Dubai, I wrote a book. I wrote an ebook of my experience in Dubai. I'm sure a lot of people didn't think to write it. And for every time I look at it, I feel nostalgia. Like everything that I experienced was in that book. That's to let you know that I was opened to have the experience. Yeah, so for me, most importantly, enjoy yourself and make memories. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, Jane, for the insights. So, Nkem, over to you. I know you relocated to UK recently, so we'll be happy to hear from you, okay?
If you see us being repetitive about some things, you should know that they're actually very crucial. And these are things that everybody that have traveled have experienced one way or the other. Fear. Everybody must be scared. My own was fear of correct documentation. I had to go back to my passport every time to check my name. I will spell it Thelma. I will spell it one after the other. If the A is not looking as if it has the tail, I'll ask my dad, is this the correct? So I had to look at my name, the spelling of my name correctly, my date of birth. Your address must be matching. Don't go and put you lived in Gogolada today. Next tomorrow you're in Lugbe. Tomorrow you're in Kafancha. Your address must match. There must be a flow so that you don't get confused, because when you begin to give too much information, they begin to ask you too many questions. So you have to make sure that your documentations are correct. And then another thing is know the correct airport terminal. Most times when we get to the airport, we are confused. Then time is going. Then very soon you hear time to board. That's the time that hot piece will catch you. In fact, you'll be very confused on what to do. So number one is for me is make sure your documentations are good enough. Your flight itinerary, everything corresponds with you. And well, fear of COVID, vaccination. That was my own fear. So how I was able to solve them was I was able to look for affordable vaccination centers that the country I was going to approved, because there are some vaccination centers which are not approved, they are not approved. So you just end up wasting your money and wasting your time. So, and again, we have to actually know the requirements for your testing, because there are some times when you hear, just like what Jane said, you have to you have to be updated with the country, because sometimes then decisions or things, requirements might change under 24 hours and all of that. So you have to know your timeline. If it's under 72 hours, 48 hours, 24 hours, you just have to know all of that and everything. So I did the whole COVID test. And then sometimes coming to the UK, as at the time I came, your testing has to be for, I don't know how to really explain it, but it has to be for 3 days, so that on the day you arrive in the UK, it completes the 3rd day. So that if you arrive on the 4th day, it's useless. You have to start doing the whole test again. And that is waste of money. So at that point, you don't need to waste money. You have to keep saving money. That is just the idea and everything. The thing is, it's always good to book your flights ahead in order to save money, to get cheap flights and all of that. You have to get cheap flights and all of that. And then again, get to the airport. This is something that we keep saying. Even when you book your flights, finally, they keep sending you reminders. please be in the airport on time. They're not saying it because they will go and leave you. That's just the truth. It's not your uncle that is the pilot. They will go and leave you. Be in the airport on time and all of that. And then another thing Obina said again is change your currency. Like, this thing messed up with me so bad. Because when I was going, pounds was not in it. Like, I could not even £2. I didn't see in Nigeria. Like, there was scarcity of foreign currency and all of that. So I was banking on the whole financial system and everything. Went with my ATM. When I stopped at Manchester Airport, I went to use my ATM to withdraw. And then I was debited, but I never got paid. So that thing messed up. It really messed me up and all of that. I just thank God for my savior. So who helps me? I always show gratitude to her every day and all of that. So this is something that happened. I went to the ATM. I did the whole thing, but I was debited and cash didn't come out. Now, the system abroad, or when it comes to international transactions, is not the same thing as how it happens with our local banks in Nigeria and all of that. The reversal time and all of that is totally different. In Nigeria, you hear that they reverse your money within 24 hours and all of that. But when it comes to international transactions, it takes over 3 months. So, in fact, the money that was debited just got replaced, like I think last month, December, and all of that. So, the money was just like useless at the end of the day, because you have to start paying back some monies you collected to just sustain yourself for that meantime and all of that. So just know, and also just like finish all your documentations with the bank. Finish everything with the bank. If you need to get your NIN for Nigerians and all of that. If you need to renew your ATM, let them open if you need to open a domiciliary account or whatever account, make sure you do it the proper way. Open the right account, because I opened the wrong account first of all. My account officer didn't even lead me well. I opened the wrong account. So you have to open the right account and then follow through with it, that they open your card before you get to the country, to your destination. When I was coming, my mom and my aunties made me to pack natives that I was not going to wear. Traditional clothes. I'm not saying they didn't try, but since when I came, I've only worn one top. And it was the native clothes half of my box. So I had to start buying clothes all over again, new tops, jean trousers, because hardly will you see anyone wearing native here. They go to church all the time like that and all of that. So you can actually wear your trousers, you can wear your jean trousers and go to church. Nobody's stopping you. You can wear your canvas from morning to night. If you like, sleep with boot. Nobody's coming to disturb you. So pack the right kind of clothes, and then to crown it up, make sure you always updated, get the right information from the right sources, and then the country's website should be your call, like your go-to point at every given point or time, because it's going to really help you. I think these are my points. So these are the things I know that's actually encountered.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Nkem, for all the tips. For somebody that is watching this video, better have your notepad. I have my own, and I've been writing all the points down. So far, at least I've jotted like 11 good points, right? So I would imagine that if I was traveling for the first time, these things are just, I'm going to read them over and over again and make sure that I avoid these mistakes. So we move over to Daniel.
Good evening. For those of us here in Nigeria, I want to say a very big thank you to Dr. Linda for this opportunity. I'm so excited to be here. My concern was a memory way back when my sister got admission in UK. My mom spent so much money. My other sister couldn't make it because she was reading law. So we spent so much money, and getting to the embassy or whatsoever, there was some kind of messy stories that some information was not right. I mean, it was like they duped her. So having this opportunity, the memory keep coming back, and I was like, I can't mess it up. So what I did was I did proper documentation. I wanted to make sure that I had everything ready. I mean, I've never been so careful enough to document things. I wake up every day. Okay, this is ready. This is ready. So it took me time to make sure that those things were so much available, and that was It was actually my fear, but I was able to solve it. I think I shared the story where I lost my phone, and it was like mad. I mean, few days to my trip, and I'm losing my phone. I was like, my village people has come. But what helped me was that some of my documents was saved in my mail address. Yes, some of the stuff I scanned, even the COVID stuff, was in my mail address. What I did was I just needed to go to Lagos first, and I called the MTN manager who was my aunt. Okay, I told her, okay, for me to access my mail, I will need to send. You need to give my brother my SIM card, and whatever confirmation that I need, I will get it from him. And I was able to solve that. It was a challenge, and my way of solving it was to make sure that there are proper online documentations. You don't always rely on physical materials. Find a way to save your stuff, probably Google Drive, or save them in your mail address. It will help you cope some problems and challenges. The most important thing is exposure. Exposure is key. That's a way to work on your mindset. I was like, wow, Daniel, you've traveled out. And as a matter of fact, it pushed me to action. I started making plans. When I was in Rwanda, I started making plans. I said, okay, in a very short time, I'm coming back. I want to do it effortlessly. It might not really come from someone, but I want to build my life in a level that I can always travel out. I wanted to live a luxury life. Yes, I started enjoying traveling now. So it worked on my mind. I made plans to always travel outside my location, and it was a very wonderful thing for me. The most important thing is ask questions. This is something you've not had experience about. So at every given time, ask questions. How do I go about this? Don't claim that, oh, you can get over it or you can work your way out. No, you don't know about it. You don't know a dime about it. Even at the airport, while I was with my friends, family who traveled alongside with me then, whatever challenge we have, we first of all reach out to someone in order to beat time and ask them the necessary questions before it becomes late. Because if you become so reluctant about it, something funny might happen, and it will tell on your own side. And another thing is what? Understand the purpose or where you're going to. This will have a way to ask you a question, where are you going to? There was a question they asked us, where are you going to? We told them we are going for a leadership conference, and we are trying to see how we can go learn in order to come back to our country and be of good help to our country. I mean, that alone made them give us free access. And I know they would have taken more time, to check things around us. But I was surprised that when immediately they heard that, was wow, that's a good one. Wow. And the process was so easy. So that is it for me. Ask questions and understand the purpose of where you're going to, why you're going to, and that will make sense for you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Daniel. Lots of tips. I've been writing. My hand couldn't stop. Thank you so much. Okay, we're going to go back to Gunan.
Hello. Okay, so for me, I would say when I was relocating, I had two issues basically that worried me the most, which was contraband issues and flight frights, because I have phobia for heights, and then I always feel like when I'm traveling in the plane, like something is just going to happen. So that really messed with my psychology. I was always feeling like, if any small thing just happened, maybe they changed the flight or something, I'll just be like, it's God that is indirectly telling me not to travel. So I had to battle with that issue. And then I was in a WhatsApp group where everybody that was traveling for the first time who was relocating, they were also sharing information about things to travel with or not. So I became confused. So this is like very important for you to know where to even get the right information. I was confused on the exact things I needed to travel with, what I shouldn't travel with, and all of that. And at the end of the day, because I wanted to travel with red oil, I wanted to travel with spices from Nigeria, I wanted to travel with a lot of food stuff. And there were a lot of people telling me some food stuff that I didn't need to travel with, and some I needed to travel with. And then because of the whole back and forth to everything I needed to do, I put some things in the wrong place, like my oil. I didn't take some of those things again because they were seized at the airport, because I can't travel with those things in my hand luggage. I needed to check them in, which I didn't do. So I couldn't now travel with that. Perfumes, all of that were taken off, and I couldn't retrieve any of them. And then there was nobody that I could actually even give it to take back for me. So my perfumes, body cream, body oil, I came to this UK, I did not have oil to rub on my body for at least 1 month. Because I didn't take any of them at the end of the day. So that was one of the issues that I encountered and I worried about, and I eventually encountered it. But most of all, what I really encountered and overcame later on. The problem I really encountered at the airport was I arrived at the airport 4 hours to our travel time, and then we had to weigh our bags and all of that. So when they were weighing the bag, we discovered that my bags, my luggages, all of them were like over the baggage limit that I was supposed to travel with. So I had to start scattering my bags in the airport there, removing clothes, taking things off, things that I've brought to me. We're even looking for people at the airport to dash some of the clothes to. We're looking for people to dash things to. I had to even buy another bag with extra money. And bags at the airport are very expensive. Everything you see at the airport is premium price. So if you didn't prepare enough at home, whatever you are going to get at the airport was going to be like ×5 of the price that you normally get in the marketplace. And I had to like break my luggage again in bits, and then we'll check again, and it was still like extra luggage at the end of the day. How I was able to overcome that issue was there was a time when I was hearing about students having maybe access to certain discounts or privileges. And that was when I remembered that, oh, I was using Qatar Airlines. So I felt like we needed to get like a certain privilege. So I now walked up to them, like how Jane and Daniel have consistently said, ask questions. I went to the customer service and I was like, I'm a student, so I feel like I'm supposed to travel with more luggage than usual. And they were like, yes, I'm supposed to have like a club card, a privilege card to travel with. And I was like, okay, I have it. I have the digital copy of it. And when I showed them, they were able to like work some things out. And it came to be that I was supposed to actually travel with extra luggage. I was not even regretting why I had given some of my things out, because I now had space in my bag that I would not use. And that's how I was able to travel with all of my bags. So asking questions is very, very important, because you have access to certain things that you won't even know you had before. And one thing again I noticed was even the flight that we used, we had paid for it already because we didn't book on time. So it was like more expensive. And on getting to the airport, we discovered that as we got that privilege card, that was the same way we're also supposed to get like flight discounts as students. But because we didn't have that information before then, we didn't get that discount again because we already paid for the flight. So getting information on time is really, really important. So for the third aspect, what I know now that I should have known before, I would say making enough financial provision for wherever you're going to. Have enough money. Don't just have your ticket and say, oh, I'm done. Have your clothes, have food, and feel like everything is all done. It's not. Well, we didn't plan for most of these things. I just felt like, okay, if I have this social amount of money, so it's going to be enough. So for me, in Nigeria, I like budgeted like over 50,000 plus 50,000 naira for transportation. That was Nigeria. And I felt like when I changed that money to the currency there, so it was going to be able to take me from the airport to my school. And that's how I changed the money, and I got to airport in UK and discovered that the money I had was to buy chewing gum. It wasn't going to take me anywhere at all. Like, I was like, 50-something thousand that I changed. How am I not able to get to school with this money? Like, this money that will book return flights in Nigeria, like, that money did not do anything. So we had to go to like different drivers, and anyone I say, they'll be like, they'll be looking at you strange. Like, who is this person? Like, what you have is not enough at all. I was not like, okay, let me try Uber. Maybe Uber will be cheaper. And I opened the app and I saw that Uber was even ×5 of the money taxi drivers were even asking for. Bottom line is, I did not have even quarter of the money I needed to get to school. I was stranded at the airport, and we had to find like alternative ways of trying to get to the airport. We had to negotiate and all of that. So it's very important that you make enough financial provision for where you're going to, because whatever money you're spending in Nigeria will not be same with how much is being sent in another country. It's being spent in another country. So money that you will feel like is flight tickets in Nigeria will be money that will be used to buy maybe sweets or something in another country. So don't bank on how much money you're spending in your country and feel like it should be enough to take you in the other country. Ask questions, check online for currency exchange, know the exact money that you would need for your transportation and all of that. Make comments about all of these things. And this brings me like to the last point, like advice I would give to somebody who is relocating for the first time. Ensure that you do research, a lot of research. Where you're going to, how much is food in the place you're going to, how much is transportation fare to the place you're going to, how much is accommodation. Check every single thing, how much is food. Because you get to certain places, because you didn't research well, you didn't browse all of those things, you now get to that place and you want to buy food and you discover that your entire salary for the month is the food that you'll be eating in a week. It doesn't make sense. So you ensure that you research properly. everything you're doing, the places you're going to, the exchange rate, everything, you know, all of that before travel is very important. And to buttress Daniel's point again about asking questions, ensure that you ask the right people questions. There are some people that will actually give you wrong information. So ensure that you're going also to the right place. And like Nkem said, go to the country's website. Like for UK now, they have uk.gov.uk. So go there. They have visa requirements. Everything is there. Information for you. They even have a site where you're able to check how much money you use if you are in this particular city in UK. So for example, if you're in York, how much do you need to be able to live comfortably in York? You're able to check that. The way you spend money in York is different from how you spend if you're in London. It's different from how you spend if you're in Wales, if you're in Scotland. Different policies apply to all these different places. So research should be your friend. Google should be your friend. Ensure that you check all of these things properly. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Gunan, for sharing your experience. It's not easy to, share these things, but I'm happy that we're all here trying to help the person that is watching us right now, who is going to be traveling either for visiting or for relocation. And I'm going to answer the questions just like every other person have answered, but also I've been making notes. Like so far, I think I have like close to 20 points, which is like summary of what everybody has been saying. So I'm going to talk about my own. Then I'm going to allow Mary ask us questions. So let me start with when preparing for travel, what worried me the most? Seriously, I had to cast my mind back to like my first international travel. Well, it wasn't my first international travel. It was my first flight international travel because, and that's when I was going to US for the first time. Before then, myself and my family have gone to, I think, Benin Republic from Nigeria. Let me also say that this video is not just for a Nigerian, just that so a lot of us are Nigerian, so we can make reference to that. But even if you're going from Ghana, from Cameroon, from Rwanda, from Liberia, from Sierra Leone, from Uganda, from Zambia, from South Africa, these things apply to you to a very great extent. And if you have more things that you want us to add to this video, feel free to message us, right? And we'll be able to add it. Supposing, let's say you are traveling from Jamaica and we didn't include a lot of things from your country, I'll be very happy to hear from you. Okay, so I was saying that when I was traveling for the first time, which I think I was traveling to the US, the first thing that worried me the most was that I didn't know what to expect. Like, for example, now, if you are traveling by bus, you know that, okay, when you go there, maybe you have to buy tickets and then you sit and you wait for the bus to leave. Like, I know what happens at bus stops. I don't know what happens at the airport. Like, there's no way for me to even imagine. There's nothing to compare it to. So not even knowing what to expect was a huge worry. And then I remember because that trip I was going for was sponsored by the US government, they called us for a pre-departure orientation like this. So it was, but it was a physical event, right? And this is, I will even say that what we have today is better because now we have people joining, from Canada, from UK, from Nigeria, from different countries, right? So this one, that pre-departure orientation that I attended, it was a physical one, and it happened in Lagos. So they called, one or two people that have traveled on that kind of trip before to come talk to us. And that was how, so attending a pre-departure orientation helped to inform me of what to expect, right? So I'm saying that might worry. The person that is watching us right now have already overcome that by attending this travel abroad pre-departure orientation. So still on the US trip, which was like my first flight trip abroad, we're two that were traveling sponsored by the same organization, but we're not related in any way. So we met as a result of preparing for the trip. What now happened was, so being from Nigeria, right, we have the way of calling somebody my sister. Like if you are working with somebody for 2 weeks, you can easily say that my sister, But in American terms, my sister means somebody who is related to you by blood, Anyway, so I was traveling with this lady, but when we arrived, oh, by the way, something happened. I checked. I did not know the difference between I don't know the difference between carry-on luggage and check-in luggage. So carry-on luggage is the luggage you take with inside the plane. Usually it's a small box or your handbag, and there's a box size. Still doubling down on that point, some people don't know what the maximum size of carry-on luggage, and they may end up carrying something small. So they'll feel like carry-on must be a handbag, small handbag. No, you can carry, a bag that is like this size can still go in as carry-on luggage. And you can always find the exact size on the flight website, like the flight company website. So I didn't know the difference between carry-on and check-in. So now talking about check-in luggage, these are the luggage that you give the people that are checking you into the flight, and usually they are going to put it like under the sitting place of the flight. Imagine like if it is a bus that you are traveling with, they are going to put it like under the bus, meaning while you are inside the bus, you cannot come out to check. You can't have access to that bag until you get to where you're going to. So what happened was, I knew it was going to be cold. I knew that I needed to travel with a sweater. But I put my sweater inside my check-in luggage, the luggage you're going to put under the plane. And then I carried my normal clothes. I entered the flight. Oh, and before you knew it, the AC started blowing. And this is an 11-hour flight from Lagos to Atlanta. 11 hours. So that was the most cruel thing that happened to me on that flight. Cold broke me into anywhere I wanted. It's like I got beaten by cold, So don't make the mistake of putting something you should carry on, like you should put in your carry-on bag inside their check-in, and vice versa. Guna mentioned that before. Some people they will put something they should put in their check-in in their carry-on, and for example, any fluid above 50 mils or 100 mils, I'm not sure, but I think it's 50 mils, meaning an average perfume bottle that is filled is about 100 mils or so. So it's already more than what is required. Toothpaste, the big one, is more than what is required. So even if you want to have toothpaste, because maybe you're going to have a layover, you have to take the small traveling toothpaste. That's why those traveling toothpaste look so small, because of so it's not that you cannot hold fluid, it's the quantity. So for example, if you put something like palm oil inside the bag, you're going to have to throw it away because it's not going to pass the security check. And the worst part is that most times when you get to the stage where they're asking you to throw it out, you have already checked in your bag. So you cannot go back to revisit the bag you checked in. So if you miss it because you don't have that information, you don't know it, you are going to have to throw that thing away. So you don't put fluid. It's not that you don't put fluid. You don't put fluid more than 50 mils inside your carry-on luggage. The bag you're going to carry inside the flight, you don't put fluid there. You put it inside your check-in. So, and if it's inside your check-in bag, even if it's 1 liter, you can successfully travel with it without problem. So the first challenge I had was mistakenly putting my sweater inside my check-in luggage. That was the first one. So when we landed in Atlanta, because I was traveling with the lady, as I was saying before, I was like, we were like in 2 lines. So I was always looking to check that she's going. She too, she's progressing. She too. The way I was just looking for her everywhere, they thought I was rattled. Maybe I'm a terrorist looking for how to bomb a place. I'm serious, looking for how to bomb a place, trying to check if my team, like they felt I was coordinating with some people because I was like looking at everywhere, with a little bit of worry on my face. So as soon as I got to the security check, they just took my passport. It's like they didn't just want to pursue me so that in case I don't have to run. They just took my passport, dropped it into a yellow bag. Myself, I don't know what was happening. In fact, while I was standing waiting for my turn, I noticed that it's like they called a police officer. The police officer was looking at me. Me said I was looking at the police officer. Somewhere in my mind, and I said, "This why you're looking at me like this. I beg, not like I just removed my face. I did not know what was going to come for me. They just took my passport, dropped it into a yellow stuff, which meant that I was going to go for more advanced check, like security check. And so I still did not even understand what was happening, but that was my first time traveling. And by the time I got into the room, I even saw some people that they were telling to get naked and enter scan. Like not naked, like put their clothes. I was wondering what exactly is going on here. That was when I understood what has happened because of the way I was looking everywhere. They thought I was coordinating with some terrorists. So the main thing is, if you are traveling, be calm, be focused, because somebody can easily misinterpret you. And it's not their fault. They've been terrorists who have had to cross the border before. So, anyway, of course, after the check, they saw that there was nothing, and that really ended it. But it resulted in me missing my connecting flight, because I took that flight to Atlanta and I was supposed to take another flight to Connecticut, and I missed that flight because of the extra advanced check-in I had to go through. Though, because it wasn't my fault, they had to rebook the flight. But it was so painful. I had to stay at the airport for another 6 hours that was unplanned, because the flight they rebooked me for was coming, was going to be like, let's say I came in the morning and the flight they rebooked me for is in the evening. The people that were supposed to come and pick me have to come and go home and come back again. So, just that simple mistake I made, that one is going to cause simple, scattered a lot of things that were supposed to follow up with that flight from then on. Okay, now the other mistake that I made was the challenge I had was missing luggage challenge. When I was coming to Canada, one of my bags got missing, right? And it boils down to something Gunan already mentioned. I didn't weigh my bag. So it's always good to weigh your bag, because most times they'll say, okay, you can come with 2 bags or you can check in 2 bags. It's not just any 2 bags. They'll say 2 bags weighing 23 kg. So there is a weight attached to each of the bags. So I was carrying this one bag, but it was so heavy. Look at what I want to talk about. It's like I had the opportunity to carry 2 bags, but each of the bags have to be 23 kg. If you're carrying 1 bag and it's more than 23 kg, you still have to pay for excess luggage. So all I needed to do, if I understood this thing, was to buy 2 bags and share the luggage in each of them. And you then carry the 2 bags. Maybe one of them may even be less than 23 kg, but I didn't know. So my bag was so heavy. When I got to the airport, they won't let you fly, definitely. I had to quickly buy Ghana Must Go bag at that point. So some of this, there's this bag that Nigerians call Ghana Must Go. I bought the bag and I shared the luggage. So it's not like, how do I describe it now? Some sort of strong plastic bag. Anyways, so I put the things there. I feel that bag was not well labeled because these things were last minute. So because of all those last minute changes, switching of bags, the bag was not well labeled. And when I got where I was going to, I couldn't find that portion of the items that I put inside that bag. So I found the normal bags that were well labeled that I travel with, but the Ghana Must Go bag where I put the half of the other things, I couldn't find it, right? So that was a mistake on my own part, because if I knew that 23 kg was what was needed for each bag that I needed to check in, according to that particular flight, the figure may change based on the flight. I will have done something better. I will have shared it and labeled them up front without doing all those last minute changes. And one moment. So there, another thing, still talking about missing luggage, last minute changes and not labeling the bag well may not be the only thing that can result in missing bag. Another thing is if you check in late. Let's say you are one of the last people that they checked in. It could be that they've mistakenly carried the rest of the bags before you now rushed, check me in, and that your bag that you checked in may not have reached the flight place before they take off. Eventually, you're going to get the bag, but that may be 2 days later, 3 days later, 2 weeks later, because the bag that got missing, eventually I got it back, and I got it back, but that was like maybe 2 to 3 weeks after filling a lot of forms. So that was how I solved the problem. You know, if your bag is missing, you have to tell the airline, they'll let you fill form, you know, and all that. So I did all that. So when they found the bag, I gave them the address of where I'm going to. When they found the bag, they sent it to me. So 2 weeks after I arrived, I got the bag. But what is interesting, as I was thinking about that, is what Jane talked about, collecting luggage from people. So why did I even have extra luggage? That extra luggage, what was majorly in that bag was the weavon that I collected for somebody, the egusi, because I don't like traveling with load. So I did not even travel with one egusi or one crayfish for myself. But there was egusi and crayfish in my bag because somebody's mother begged me to bring those things for the lady. And I love the fact, you know, I know it was a figure of speech when you say, even if it's Jehovah Jireh, don't collect the thing from them. Why did I collect from this person? Because normally I wouldn't even collect from normal people. It's because this lady helped me to pay for something in Canada. So when she now say I should help her carry load, you know, one good turn deserves another. I just had to say yes, even though for myself, I don't even carry the load, right? So what Jane said, which is, tell the person your bag is full. They will not kill you. Like, just try, because you don't want your trip going bad just because you were trying to help. At the end, and what was inside that bag was weavon, crayfish for somebody else. Imagine landing in Canada and now telling the lady that the weavon she paid so much money to get, or like the wig she paid so much money to get, the crayfish her parents sent to her, the Maggi and egusi, and everything is missing. So I was angry about my bag missing. I also had to console somebody else that their goods are missing. And of course, this did not include all the money I had to pay to buy a new bag, the stress and everything, you know. So carrying extra luggage can quickly result to you having to switch bags at the final end, you having to not label your bag properly, excess luggage wahala, missing bag wahala. So you know, sometimes when we're saying it at this upfront, it looks like, don't worry, I'm going to manage, until the person now hits the roadblock. Is like, oh my God, if I knew, I would have, you know, I would have listened. Because that brings me to the third question, which is, what is it that I know now that I wish I knew before the first time I traveled? Funny enough, it is arriving at the airport on time. Everybody has said it, but the question is if people are repeating something, just know that it's important. And it's very easy to mess this up, right? Because now, for that US trip that I talked about at the beginning, I remember my dad was, if somebody knows my story, they know that I learned travel things from my dad because he traveled to a lot of countries. My dad was calling me and saying, you have to be at the airport 3 hours before. Myself, I'm looking at that 3 hours. That one a long time now. That's like a very long time from like I'm feeling like I was close to the airport where I was staying, so I could as well just go there 1 hour before. But, you know, let me explain it to that person now, because maybe I'll feel like they didn't explain this to me. When you arrive 3 hours before, it's better to come on time and nothing happened. But if something happens, you will have opportunity to save the day. There have been instances, for example, I think there's somebody who was sending abroad recently, and there was an issue with her ticket. But because she was at the airport on time, the travel agent had the opportunity of going to the headquarters of the flight people, changing her ticket, and getting back to her. All these things happened while she was already at the airport. Imagine she came 1 hour before. How will the travel agent so she's going to miss the flight. So coming on time, most times there's nothing you're going to do. But in case of necessity, you have time. There's been a time where somebody I know, he was traveling and still issue with flights. But because he was at the airport on time, the person they booked the flights from, this was even a different person, had the opportunity. They were even calling the person wasn't picking until later on. They had the opportunity of that person being able to solve the ticket problem. That's just one out of many problems that can arise. Sometimes you arrive at the airport, they'll tell you, oh, you're going to which country? Like the last time I traveled, which was like 4 months ago, I was coming back to Canada and I got to the airport early. They know, you're going to which country? Canada. Oh, there's this new COVID thing you have to do. You have to go and fill this form. And if you see this form takes everlasting to fill. They say, I think it's Arrive Canada something. There's a form, so you have that one. If you calm down, the form will take you like 10 minutes to fill. But imagine you're already on a rush. Then somebody says you should come and be filling form that will take you like 10 minutes. By the way, you don't know that the form is going to take 10 minutes. So your mind will always think that you're going to even miss your flight already, you know? And these things happen to you, whether you're a seasoned traveler or you're a first-time traveler. Rules can change. The same way, Jim mentioned that rules can change at any time. You will have an opportunity to overcome the challenge if you arrive on time. And some people, they'll make the mistake of, they think arrive on time means just be at the airport on time. No, it means be at the airport on time, check in on time, move through the immigration process on time, immigration checkpoints on time. Let it be that you are at the place where all you need to do is cross one gate and you enter your plane. Like, that is where you need to be. And so don't just think that arriving at the initial upfront check-in place is like you have conquered everything. No, because sometimes even after you have checked in your bags and then you start going through the immigration check, you will be shocked. 40 minutes, you're still going through immigration check. Like 40 good minutes. So when you are coming to the checkpoint 30 minutes before, 1 hour before, you are still likely to miss your flight. Because you are not where you are coming to, you are not even seeing the flight. Before you get to where the flight is a very long process. And you don't want it to be that 5 minutes to miss your flight before you arrive there. It will stress you out so much, So arriving on time is something I wish I knew, that I know now, that I wish I knew for the first time. And I didn't really understand it. Another thing that affects that point is when you tell people arrive 3 hours before, then they leave their house 3 hours before. Many things can happen in between. So you want to incorporate the time you will spend on transit and plan to be at the airport 3 hours before, for international flights. Meaning, because you may be in a place where there's a lot of traffic jam, like popular cities like Lagos, like where I stay in Canada now to where, let's say the Toronto airport is 2 hours, or no, it's not 2 hours, it's like an hour plus. So it's not that 3 hours before my flight I will leave for the airport, right? Because that means before you get there, anything can happen. So you want to look at your travel scenario, the city where you are and how close you are to the airport, and plan to be at the airport 3 hours before. Again, imagine you plan to be at the airport 3 hours before and there was traffic jam and you spend 1 hour or 2 hours at the traffic jam. So you end up arriving 1 hour before. If you arrive 1 hour before and there was no problem, you have a slim chance of still entering that flight. But imagine you plan to reach airport 1 hour before, then you spend 2 hours on traffic jam. You are gone. Like, go and rebook your flight, full stop. So, arriving the airport on time can help you solve so many other problems that can come up. Even if you have to switch your bag, if you have time, you can still do it. If you have money, you can still do it. Even if you have to change currency, if you have time, you can do it. Even if they say, oh, there's this new test, you have to pay for it before you start your trip. If you have time, you will still do it. But if it's very short, you will panic and everything will go back. So if there is something, arrive at the airport 3 hours before. Now, advice that I have for people traveling, I've already incorporated all of this, but let me just go through some of the things. Read your ticket. Like, sometimes, they'll go and write the time for your departure in another, either maybe they'll say 17 o'clock or something. And you now mistakenly read it at 7 o'clock, and 7 o'clock and 17 o'clock are not the same. 17 o'clock means 5 p.m. 7 o'clock means 7 p.m. You get the point. So just that alone can mess you up. So like read what is written on the ticket. Even sometimes flight schedule will change. They may bring you forward or bring you back, or whatever the case is. You just have to keep up with those things. But know exactly what time you are departing. That will help you to structure your time. The other thing we've talked about is luggage. Try and pack light. But try and pack light. But it's not just about that. Know what you are entitled to. Know that you're entitled to a carry-on bag. That can help you. Like somebody may not, if somebody doesn't know that, they can go and carry 3 luggage of big bags. You're going to pay for one. But that same person can carry 1 carry-on bag, like that is small, this small luggage, and then 2 other bags, and they're not paying for anything. So when it comes to luggage, know exactly what is allowed for you. Even if you are packing so many things, right? Like let's say I'm traveling to somewhere right now, and maybe I'm going for an event. It's okay to carry extra luggage. Just know that, extra luggage, and extra luggage can be so expensive. The other time I was traveling, they say extra luggage, $85. But if you have the money, it's not a problem, right? You just be like, oh yeah, I have 10 extra luggage. They'll just be like, $85 times 10, $850. You swipe your card. You get? So extra luggage issue becomes a problem when you don't have money. You have $200 you're traveling with. Then you go and carry 2 extra luggage. That is your all the money is gone already. Or you may not even, and the other things you still have to do. So extra luggage is equal to money. In one of 2 things, you either pack lights or you take enough money to cover for all the expenses of the extra luggage. And extra luggage is very expensive. Don't understand. Don't say, oh, how much did they ask me to pay? Like, don't even work with this $85 that I said. Just be thinking like $200 for 1 extra luggage or $100 for 1 extra luggage. Like, just plan, we overestimate so that you are not caught unawares. So the thing is, pack light or carry enough money to pay for extra luggage. Then the other one is the importance of having cash at hand, because things can change. Like there'll be people that you are at the airport, you missed your flight, but there's another flight coming in 5 hours time. You have to rebook your flight. But to rebook is so amount of money. You don't have it. But if you have that money, you can easily rebook. And like traveling by flight is so unpredictable. Like you can predict it to a reasonable extent. You can go now, they'll say your COVID test, this lab is not accepted. What will you do? You either go home or you remove money and pay for another COVID test. Imagine you don't have that extra money. And I'm talking about the pandemic time, right? So somebody may be watching this after pandemic is over. That's totally fine. But if you're watching this during the pandemic, that's also nice. Then same thing. You can, let's say for example, now they'll say, oh, you don't have yellow fever card. You have to get it. Suddenly, you have to spend money. So sometimes things that you have to spend money on comes quickly. And if you don't have cash at hand, you become stranded immediately. I know someone that was traveling, and the trip was just a short trip from Nigeria to Ghana, right? We didn't really expect anything to go wrong. And then she called and said, oh, there's this money they needed to pay for the like another COVID test or something like that. You have to pay upfront before you land. And it was maybe like $50 or $100, something like that. But the person didn't have it because they felt like, I'm going to Ghana here, it's not far. I'll book my flight, I'll just go. But suddenly they were just stranded at the airport. They had to even start begging somebody to help them pay that money, right? And imagine they didn't find someone to pay. What will happen? Or you start calling people to transfer money to you. Again, if you arrived on time, you will have time to fix those things. If you do not arrive on time, that will, a lot of things can go wrong. All of us have, said our own bit. As someone who is traveling for the first time via flight, traveling abroad for the first time via flight, what questions do you have based on the things we've talked about?
Okay. Actually, most of my questions have been answered, but I still have some things to clarify. When okay, you did mention of having two, like we have hand luggage and check-in luggage. So I want to ask
Mm-hmm.
that what are the likely things that can be in your hand luggage and like unlikely things that can be in your check-in luggage? Because I want I think I was asking questions like about like maybe like taking some things like my perfume, my other things. I'm like, how will I pick this thing? Because they're like I cannot carry it them because they might be seized at the end. So I want to know what exactly I can actually what can be in the the hand luggage and also what can
Mm-hmm.
be in the check-in luggage. That's one. Second question is I'd like us to also know the likely question that can be asked by the immigration officers because I would like to know so
Mm-hmm.
that I can be prepared. You shouldn't just meet me. So I want to know the questions that will be asked of me
Mm-hmm.
at the airport by the immigration officers so that I will
Mm-hmm.
be able to know to answer those questions. That's my questions for
Okay.
now. Then I'll ask.
Okay. Okay. Let me respond to those, and if any other person have something to chip in based on that, please raise your hand and I'll also call you. So in terms of, thank you for bringing that hand luggage and check-in luggage question because it's confusing and people can easily go the route of don't carry it or they will seize it, you know. And that's when somebody is based on fear instead of based on what is the accurate information. Now, I talked about hand luggage. I think hand luggage, first of all, the size of the bag. Let's talk about the size of the bag. I don't know how to measure it now, but I wish I can. All the bags I'll use, for example, they are way upstairs. They can allow you carry a hand luggage and a backpack. Carry both. Like, let's say you have your laptop bag, you can carry that your laptop bag and a hand luggage, the type of bag Gunan showed. And if you see the type of bag she showed, you see that it can take in a lot of things. Like, it can take in, your makeup, let's say for a lady, your inner wears, like, it can take up a good chunk of things. So, and that's different from like maybe your laptop bag, and they can still allow you carry both bags, right? So that is it for the hand luggage. But if you want to know the exact size, check the flight or ask maybe if you booked your flight with an agent, ask the agent. If you booked it directly on the website of the flight people, check to know the size. Because some of these bags, they just go from different size to different size. Maybe also check Google, because maybe if you say, okay, what is the average size of a check-in bag or hand luggage bag for flight? Maybe Google will show you like some examples that may also help, and check Google and like the images that Google is going to bring up. Then check-in bag range from small bags to big bags. So it could be as small as, like, you can have that kind of bag that Gunan just showed now and you still want to check it in. It is allowed. But also all the normal big traveling bags, right? Those ones are normal check-in bags. That is in terms of size. Now, in terms of one of the things that they usually seize in the carry-on bag is when you put fluid. For now, let's just use fluid above 50 mils. Fluid above 50 mils. If you put them in the carry-on bag, that, like the bag you're taking into the flight, they're going to seize it. They will not pass immigration. So if you have fluid, it does not mean you can't travel with it. It means you have to put it in a check-in bag. And if, let's say, you are traveling with just one bag, but you have fluids, instead of saying so you have to travel with two bags, just check in that carry-on bag. So you can carry like a handbag to put things that you need, and then take the small bag that you are now using. Let's say you're going for visitation, your bag is not likely to be big. You can check in that bag. I don't know if I'm explaining what I'm saying right. Like, let's say you're carrying one bag, but inside that bag you have a fluid, let's say perfume, 100 mils, or palm oil, 1 liter. Saying you can't travel with these things, just check the bag in, because they don't have a problem with it if it's under the like under the plane. But if you're carrying it inside the plane, they're going to have a problem with it, so they're going to seize it. Then the other things you shouldn't really put in your carry-on bag is things like food stuff. spices, because those things can easily change the air that other people will be breathing. Remember, flight is an enclosed space. You're going to be there for hours, depending on the length of the trip. So when somebody will now go and carry a seasoning, the Obonge ones, and when we think of seasoning, we always think of them as something nice. But think of how another person from another country is going to perceive your seasoning. Let me give an example. I'm Nigerian. Sometimes when I perceive Indian seasonings, I feel like I'm nauseous, right? I feel like vomiting. To the person, it's very nice. But to me, I'm having a bad experience. And vice versa, right? I also, there was a time I lived with someone, they eat a lot of barbecue. He's a white man. He eats a lot of barbecue and he will put like pepper on those barbecue, right, and smoke it. Like, I would just be coughing like, and the person is so happy, like, oh, my barbecue is roasting. So spices can differ for different people. And this doesn't mean the spices are bad. No, it just means that not everybody likes the spice that you're carrying, right? So some people it's going to spoil their trip. So airlines generally will not allow people to enter with spices. So let's say you have crayfish, you have egusi, you have all these African spices, and it's different for different countries, right? Put them inside a check-in bag. That's the bag you're going to check in. And if you're carrying only one bag, you can still put it inside that bag. But instead of, let's say that bag is small, instead of carrying it into the flight, check it in. So, Mary, I can also say, if there is a particular item that you are worried about, you can also ask me. But let me just cover some of the items, like perfume is there, spices or food stuff generally, check them in. Perfume more than 50 mils, check them in. Toothpaste more than 50 mils, check them in. Water bottle, anything more than 50 mils of fluid, check it in. If you're going with one bag, put it inside that bag and check it in. So then you talked about questions. Question. I'm going to come to somebody raising hand. Questions by immigration officer. Most times they want to know why you are traveling, where you are going to, what you're going there to do. So like and you should have those answers readily available. It's not that when they ask you, let's say, why are you traveling to Dubai? You're not going to be checking your, maybe a conference sleep or something. Like the person is going to wonder, like, do you even know where you're going to? So you want it to be like, oh yes, I'm going for this conference. Like I think Daniel mentioned something like that. When they asked them, they told them, oh, I'm going for leadership conference. I want to go and learn and come back. They are very happy to see people that know where they are going to. Another thing or why they are traveling. Another thing they ask is the address of where you're going to. So if you're going to a hotel, know the hotel address. Sometimes they may even ask you to fill it in, right? Know the hotel address. If you're going to go and stay with somebody, collect the address ahead of time. You don't want it to be like when they now say, okay, so when we check you out now, where are you going to stay? You don't know. Even if somebody is coming to pick you, know the address. It's your duty to know the address. So they ask questions about why you are going to where you are going to, what you are going there to do, where exactly you are going to, where are you going to be staying, or where is the conference holding. And let's say if you are relocating, you are going for studies, sometimes they may say something like, what course are you going to study? They may ask you questions about the school that you're going. So, okay, you are going to York University. Oh, why did you choose York? The person is just making a conversation. But imagine they say, why did you choose York? You don't even know. The person will be like, wait, are you sure you are going to York? Like the person just, it will make the person start wondering if it's not somebody that arranged this thing for you, because they are, in as much as we are good people, they are bad people too, traveling all the time. And the only way they catch them is through these questions, right? Now, okay, let me allow any other person that wants to answer. Gunan, you raised your hand. Let's go with you. Then after that, Jane raised her hand too.
Okay, so I wanted to add to the aspect of the hand luggage. It's important that all of the documents that you would need access to, you put them in your hand luggage, because you'll be needing access or be showing those documents immediately. So you don't want to put that at all into your check-in luggage. when you get to immigration point, they ask you to bring out something, you need to hold it. So all of those things, everything has to do with your paper, your passport, your yellow card, all of those things. Ensure that is in your hand luggage that you have. That's just what I wanted to add.
So I would like to say at that immigration point too. So we already have Nigerians, you know how we do. Like you feel like, oh, this person is delaying me. Try as much as you can not to be rude to the immigration guys, comport yourself, be confident in yourself. Don't go there and start saying, oh, God, you are delaying me, oh, God. He will end up delaying you. Just, have your questions right. Don't say, oh, in a bribe you want, I know they bribe you. This man hasn't said that. Even if it's happening with every other person, don't just assume that it's coming. He might just, find you very interesting, and at the end of the day, let you go. Don't go there and start exchanging words with them. They will end up messing you up. You are like, you are at their mercy at that 5-10 minutes. Just be as humble as you can. Be confident to say, we've mentioned it already. Be confident enough to say, this is what I'm going for. When we traveled, we went on visit. They asked us questions like, all of this that Dr. Linda mentioned. Are you sure you will come back? Are you sure you will not run? You just laugh and say, okay, how I no go come back now? I have my job, I have my kids, just say something nice. Don't carry Nigerian mentality and go there and be fighting. At the end of the day, you're going to lose. I also learned that the airport is not the best place to change your money. If you have access to change before at the bank or with anyhow before you get to the airport, I think it's even more expensive at the airport. So make sure that you've done all your changing. Don't come and say, oh, it's airport, that is where it is. Sometimes you get there and they tell you, oh, this is what I have is $1 notes. Like when we went to Ghana, Accra, they said they had a particular kind of currency, and those ones said when you bring it there, nobody collects it. So you might end up having issues like that. So make sure that you've changed outside the airport. Don't let the airport not be your first result. Let it be that, oh, for some reason you couldn't get it out there, and then you now got it at the airport. Thank you.
Thank you. Obina. Emmanuel.
Okay, yeah. I was just trying to add up to what Jane talked about, but she has already buttressed the point where she talked about that which she talked about, where she talked about your exchange before getting to the airport, which is something I talked about as well, because there are issues where you get and you are unable to use that money. There's something else she spoke about. Jane, can you just remind me? There's something else you spoke about before the currency.
Not arguing? Is it not arguing with the immigration officer?
Exactly. Because when we got to the immigration point, they looked at us, because we were traveling in a group. They looked at our passports. Aside Jane, every other person that we are traveling with us then had just fresh passports. They were now like, okay, why are we having fresh passports? And aside the other person. So we said, okay, we are traveling in a group, and we stated why we are going there and how long we are staying there for. So this is different for someone else, which is me concurring to what Jane has said. Someone else might want to come out all defensive, like, hey, that is, if it's a fresh passport, what crime have I committed? I have not committed any crime. No, that's not what they're asking you. They're asking you a simple and a straight question. What is your visit for? They're not just holding you because you have a fresh passport, because nobody will deny you to travel because you're a first-time traveler. That is just one thing you should also hold, because most times people might have this travel abroad meets whereby they say if you don't have a travel history, that you might be denied to be travel to make your trip and all. But that is not the case, especially when you are able to follow through the due procedures to get your travel requirements all intact. And then once you're asked questions, ensure that you give the right answers to whatever questions. Don't leave the question that you're being asked to that issue that is not even in the book. You just end up messing up yourself, like Jane has said. At that point in time, you are there missing. So it's either they hold you down there and they just give you extra, they just send you for extra check-ins, like you have mentioned, Dr. Linda, that extra security checks can make one miss their flight. And in some cases, if they are deliberate about just making you miss their flight, they might not really be as kind as they were for you in your own case, having to help you rebook your flight without paying extra charges. They might just want to like make you miss that flight just because you are rude, or they felt that you are coming out at them so hard, and then they make you miss your flight, and they won't even go as far as even helping you reschedule or rebook and stuff like that. So you just stay away from trouble. That's just it. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Nkem, over to you.
Okay, I just want to talk about this thing again. When I was coming to the UK, I had the opportunity to book different destinations, like in the sense that there's Manchester Airport, there's Heathrow Airport, and all of that. So another thing is to choose the closest airport, choose the closest airport to your destination. So that's another thing. Not just go because everybody's shouting London, taking pictures in London. You want to stop at London, you want to stop at Heathrow Airport. So my school is close to Manchester, so we had to go to Manchester Airport to make the journey easier for us to arrive at our destination. And just like what Gunan said, make sure you photocopy your documents. Just have extra copies and make sure you have them in colored. You can have some in black and white, but colored too as well, and have them handy. And then the size and weight of your luggage, again, just like what you said. Like I entered Qatar Air, they are really strict about if it passes 7 kg by 0.5, you must remove something. So most times it's actually stated on their website, hand luggage is 7 kg, 7 kg. Like it must not pass at all. And then my own personal observation, and they did not, even if your perfume was below 50 ml, they will not let you in with it. So it's to be on the safer side, it's just better not to even travel with any liquid at all, even sure roll on, just check it in, so that they don't have to stop you again. Then you start opening your box all over again and all of that, the whole stress. And then have a travel buddy. If you can travel, if you see some group of students going to your school, you can you can as well go together, so that the trip is not bored or boring for you. I had a very lovely travel buddy, and I enjoyed my trip, even though it was a very long distance and all of that.
Thank you. So back to Mary. So we've clarified the 2 questions you had. Did you come up with more?
One more thing. When it comes to the documents, I know that normally, am I supposed to go with my NIN, like my national identification number, like the slip, or maybe like us to go with, since I have my international passport? Because that one has been on my mind. So I don't know if I'm supposed to go with it. Like, is this part of the document I'm supposed to take to the airport?
If you have the documents, you can just carry it. Like, there's no over carrying, right? If you have the document, you can just carry it. You know that this thing will say, you don't know when rules change. Because the new, and this is specific for Nigerians, right? The new passport that is being done now includes your NIN, your national identification number on the passport. So a rule can come up tomorrow where they will say, if your passport doesn't include that, then the person should show their NIN slip. I don't know, right? And so if you have it, then go with it. Like, is a slip. Like, you just put it's not even going to increase weight of bag or anything. But let's say if you don't have it, I wouldn't say go and start looking for how to get NIN now before you travel. Like, if you don't have it, that's fine. See, check again if the airport, like, if your ticket said you have to come with it, like, you can check all those things. But if you have it, cool, it's totally fine. Before I go into, did that answer your question?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Do you have any other question? You're asking on behalf of people, though. So, hey, any question you not ask us, that means the person watching will be like, Mary is on you. It's on you. He did not ask. Any other thing, even maybe something you understood, but you felt like it may easily be, like, some people may not easily understand it. You can also call our attention to it. Okay? Maybe I will leave you to think a little bit while I'm going to hit on all the points that everybody have said. And right here, I have about 16 points. I'm not going to be explaining them in detail, just to hit it. But let me start with illegal items. People, when we're talking about don't collect things from people to to transport. Some people, they actually intentionally give you illegal items. Like, I don't know if you have ever seen any of these videos where you will see a sweet wrap or Indomie wrap, but it's not Indomie that is inside, it's weed or it's cocaine or, you know, and like you can't even imagine what the extent people will go to. Some, they will tell you it's spices, but those spices they're like illegal drugs or illegal substances wrapped with wrapped with those common wraps that we know. Like you see an illegal substance wrapped as Maggi or you know, a kind of sauce. So preferably don't carry something for somebody. Even if you are carrying, let's say for example now, let's say somebody say carry wig for me, you know, maybe you can, at least you can see all the strands, right? At least you know, but once it's something wrapped, don't assume that what is inside is the cover. And guess what? When they search, sometimes they even search with trained dogs, right? So the dog will just sniff and see something and start poking through the bag. They will take it to one side. If they see anything there, they're going to open the thing. Now imagine that you carried sweets for your friend. Your friend who said, take this sweet to my uncle. First of all, why can't your uncle buy sweets where he is? You understand? But like, you saw that you must carry. And the case maybe sometimes they'll tell you spices. Oh, they don't have spices where you are going to take this one. They'll give it to you. By the time, imagine, okay, a friend gave you spices to carry and they called you by the side. They found that it was illegal substances wrapped. You're going to say, oh, it's not for me, it's for my friend. But guess what? Your friend is not the one carrying it across the airport. So you are going to be going to prison for that. Like, it is that serious. It's not even, I'm not even trying to make somebody scared. Like, they catch you with illegal thing, you are going to prison, full stop. You know? So, and those illegal things, a lot of people, there've been people that mistakenly, they carry this. Another thing, my dad always used to say this, he said, be in charge of your bag. Don't give somebody your bag to look after for you. Some people, they have met somebody now at the airport, so two of you ate and drank at Kilimanjaro restaurant by the side of the airport. Now, you are friends, you know, like what? And you say, oh, put this thing for me, or maybe two people are traveling. Somebody now say, put this thing for me inside your bag. Let it better be something that if it's closed, you can feel it, nothing there inside. Do you get? Because the person say, put this thing for me. What usually happens is that when people at the airport look for ways to pass through the security check, right, without being caught. So if you're a first-time traveler especially, they can say, oh, help me hold this thing. This my bag too empty. You're carrying a backpack, put it inside. If you cross, they will not say, give it back to me, which is normal. But if you don't cross, they will never accept that they were the one that gave it to you in the first place. So guard yourself, because these are realities, and a lot of times we don't even hear it because the people that is affected are in prison. So don't carry anything wrapped from grandmother to grandfather. Don't carry anything wrapped from uncle to auntie. Don't carry anything wrapped. It's not, you don't know when somebody is going to put you in jeopardy. So you don't even want to try. Like recently, I was traveling. There, somebody came to meet me at the airport, which was very weird. I've already checked in my luggage. Then the person now said, take this handbag. It's somebody that I know was giving me handbag for free. Like, oh, this was something I got for you. I traveled one time. I said, don't worry, I'm going to tell my staff to call you to collect it from you. And they will ship to me. And in my head, I'm like, it's not as if I'm saying the person was setting me up. But you never know, right? I was like, is this guy okay? You're giving me handbag when I'm just about to pass through security. When you now reach, they will not say, sorry, the handbag is not for you, it's for my auntie, transport it. Please, you don't even, anything that you can't really see what is inside. I'm telling you, many people are doing many dangerous things and you don't want to fall victim. So that's the first thing. But let me go over so many things that other people said. Early morning flights, Obina mentioned it, early morning flight, 7 a.m. So one way to solve that problem is you can arrange for a cab a night before. You can arrange for a cab or a taxi to come and pick you from your house to the airport. Let's say you need, because of your early morning flight, you have to go, because of your early morning flight, you have to leave very early. You don't want to wake up and then start looking for taxi, especially depending on where you live, right? It may not be possible to even get one at that time. But you can book for one ahead of time, or you can intentionally book for flights that are in the afternoon or in the evening, so that you have enough time to get to the airport on time. Because sometimes those early morning flights, they will remove money from them. They are usually the cheapest flights, right? So most times, if you want to book cheapest flight, you may fall into very early morning flights. And a lot of time, people miss it. Of course, they remove money from it to attract more people to buy, but a lot of people end up missing their flight because they couldn't reach the airport on time. There, we talked about another point that was raised here. This is me summarizing about the 16 points that I wrote down in case somebody was not jotting. Another point I wrote here is exchange, like money exchange wahala. Make, if possible, exchange outside the airport. Because sometimes, even at the airport, because you're in a hurry, somebody can give you fake currency and you wouldn't know. For example, if you see fake dollar and real dollar, will you know the difference? Even me right now, it will be hard for me to know the difference. So imagine, especially in that rush, and the person is at the airport, you will never see them again. You see? So the only time you realize is when you have gotten to where you're going to, and they will tell you that this money, you can't use it. You know, so change outside the airport if possible. But if you have to change at the airport, just be extra careful. Right? Then we talked about anxiety, how people will be afraid of plane crash and everything that happens with flights and all that. So this can happen to anybody. What I'm just going to say is use self-affirmation, talk to yourself, because people have been traveling and coming back and yet they did not die. In fact, all the people on this pre-departure orientation that have been talking, all of them traveled and they came back, right? So that means at least people are traveling and they are not dying. You too, you know that. So use self-affirmation. I know someone, Gnan and Jane also know this person. We know someone that rejected an all-expenses paid trip because of anxiety of first-time traveler. Like, was afraid. I'm sure he was afraid of flights and whatever that will happen, you know. And because of that, they missed out on all-expenses paid trip. So self-affirmation is important. Then we talked about traffic before getting to the airport, which is things that can prevent you from reaching the airport on time. If you can avoid them, but account for them when you are planning, and still plan to get to the airport 3 hours before. Because like we talked about traffic jam, I think Jane talked about it. But even something that happened recently, somebody that was traveling abroad was rushing to the airport, or wanted to rush to the airport. Unfortunately, this was in Lagos. That day was sanitation day. Sanitation day, they couldn't really get the cab or like permission to travel and the cab that would take them to the airport. So they had to wait for sanitation to be over. By the time sanitation was over, they were already late for their flights. So factor those things in, but above all, plan to get to the airport 3 hours before. So not for you to leave not for you to leave your location 3 hours before, but you want to get to the airport 3 hours before, so that anything that happens along the way, you have enough wiggle room to overcome it without missing your flight. Then we talked about errands, illegal items you should be aware of, and luggage size problem, right? Because if you're helping somebody carry load, this may turn into luggage size problem, or you're carrying illegal items. So please, as much as possible, avoid it. Avoid it if you can, you know. Then for Jane to say, even if it's Jehovah Jireh, I know Jane, you had a similar experience about someone giving you luggage. It turned into excess luggage, reduced your time that you will have used to solve another problem. Flight miss, you know. So people talking here, they're talking from experience of mistakes we have made, and we don't want you to make that same mistake, you know. So please, don't take these things lightly. Don't be like me when my dad was telling me, get to the airport 3 hours before. I'm like, Daddy, too they worry. I go reach there now, you know. That's just what was in my head. Other people were able to say, you're very close to the airport. But if I know what I know now, I will be there 3 hours before minimum, because what if there's an issue with my flight ticket? That has nothing to do with traffic. So the people that were telling me you are very close to the airport, so you can go 1 hour before or 2 hours before. They didn't factor in that the only problem I can have is not just traffic problem. It can also be a ticket problem. It can be problem of new things, new form I have to fill, you know. So be there on time. Don't be like me. Don't question why we are telling you to do this. We are talking from experience. Then the other one is ask, when you're at the airport, ask questions from people in uniform. You know, some people, like, they'll not be like, let's say you're traveling, 2 people are traveling, or you're traveling, you don't know what to do. Then you're asking another traveler. Remember, that traveler you're asking, in your mind, the person is a renowned traveler and you're a first-time traveler. But the person may also be a first-time traveler and they don't know. Even if they are renowned, they may just give you their own opinion, which may turn out to be correct or incorrect. So if you're at the airport, ask people in uniform, you know, go to the customer service of the flight people, ask them questions. So it's always good to ask people in uniform. They're likely to have more answers and correct answers compared to somebody that is just traveling on their own and you're just asking them questions. Hey, how did they say we should do this? Why not just ask the person in charge? You know, know the correct airport terminal. You can mention that. Know the correct airport terminal, because you can arrive at the wrong airport terminal. Again, you know, this boils down to what I said, that when we say arrive 3 hours before, it's not for you to reach the airport and say, yes, I've reached the airport. That is all that matters. We mean arrive and check in. And most international flights, they start checking in 3 hours before. So if you arrive 3 hours before, that will just be an opportunity for you to check in and get to the place where you just enter your flight once time is there. Because so that if there's any problem, you should arrive fast so that you can solve it fast. That's the goal, right? So don't just arrive at the airport and then wait 1 hour before, then you go and start checking in. You will have defeated the whole purpose. Like, in fact, something else, someone that we know arrived at the airport several hours before and then left the airport 5 hours before. You know, so like, and at that point, nobody was even expecting it, right? I had called the person and I was like, oh, you're at the airport now, right? So yeah, I reached the airport since yesterday. I slept at the airport, and I was like, okay, cool, nothing could go wrong. I went to sleep. Then I called Gunnar like some hours later to say, oh, hope that person is on the way. He said, oh, they left the airport. What? Like, I've never seen in all my predictions on how things can go wrong. I've never seen that time. But having to, you know, fun people that are traveling abroad have really exposed my eyes to seeing a lot of, like, things you never imagine will happen, just might happen. These days, I expect the worst and I hope for the best, because anything can go wrong at any time. Like, that one took me unawares. I did not, when Gula said that to me, I just went to sleep. Woke up by morning and said, okay, what do we do from here? It's like, this one passed my power. You know, like, how do you arrive airport before and then leave airport? But do you think what was in the person's mind was, I'm going to miss my flight? No. He's like, let me quickly reach here and come back. You see? So, so don't make the mistake, you know, don't make the mistake of, you know, coming to the airport a day before and then leaving when it is closer to the time. You know, just be there at least 3 hours before. Then we talked about knowing the right airport terminal. Yes, I've said that. If you come early, even if you're at the wrong airport terminal, it's easier for you to move and go to the right place. Because some airports can be really, really very big. Like some airports, for you to go from one terminal to another terminal, you have to enter train. Yeah, like some airports are that big. Like they say, oh no, the person is coming at terminal 2. This is terminal 1. How do I get to terminal 2? You think they'll just be like, pass here. Then I say, go up there, enter train, land the, like, what? Before you finish that one, 30 minutes to 45 minutes is already gone. So don't even underestimate what could go wrong. Like, always be on your toes, you know. Then the other one is know the required testing. Like, if you're going to a place, if you need yellow fever card, get it ahead of time. If you need COVID test, get it ahead of time. If they say you have to have COVID test 72 hours before, like, know those timing. Don't guess. Don't say, people say we should do the COVID test a day before. But what is the rule? Because if you know the rule, you act from a place of knowledge. If you don't know the rule, you act from them say level, right? So you want to know the rule. Like one time I traveled to Nigeria, I was coming to Canada. So we went to a place we wanted to do COVID test. I knew when my flight was. I knew Canada rule. Canada need me to have COVID test valid valid within 72 hours from the time I am boarding my first flight, right? Even if it's a connecting flight. So when I got to the COVID place, the lady just said, let me clarify. So the sample needs to be taken at least 72 hours before I start the trip, right? That's the rule. Not 72 hours before I land in Canada. So when I got to the COVID place, the lady just said, oh, when are you traveling? And I said, like, let's just say I'm traveling 2 days from that time. But that 2 days is like in the morning of the second day. She said, oh, no, come back tomorrow. I'm like, no. From my flight time, my COVID test is still going to be valid by the time I'm traveling, blah, blah, blah. This is the Canada rule. When she saw that, she was talking based on, I'm sure, what somebody had told her, make sure they do it a day before they travel. You know, that kind of thing. So when I gave her the breakdown, she's like, okay, man, go here to go and let us take your sample. But imagine I didn't know. I'm just going to go home and say, they said I should come back tomorrow to take the test. So always know the details, right? That's important. Then ATM may fail, given Nkem's testimony, you know. ATM, like you may think that, oh, I'm going to travel, I'm going to hold this card. With this card, I'm going to withdraw money when I need it. Imagine you reach, they say, oh, no, this card does not work with this ATM. You're already stranded, and you have money in your account, but you're stranded. And when you're stranded at the airport, it's like everybody's moving and going on their own. You are just on your own. That's it. It's very difficult to find help at the airport. It's very, very difficult. And worst of, sometimes you may not even have Wi-Fi, or like you may not even be able to communicate effectively, right? You may be trying to call somebody. You may have Wi-Fi and you're calling somebody on WhatsApp and they're not picking. The normal thing would have been to call them like normal phone call to phone call, but you are new to the country, so your normal phone may not work. Yeah, so all ATM may fail. Have cash at hand as much as possible. Have cash at hand. That one that you're with. And some people, they will make the mistake of going with their local currency. It's always good to change to dollars. Then when you get to the place, you can change from dollars to that currency. You know, I've seen some people, they will travel with cedis to the country where they are going to, you know, or shillings or whatever it is that is their local currency. So change the dollar, then change the dollar to the local currency. It is safer because you may reach there looking for the person that will change your local currency for you and you will not find. Yet you have money and you are stranded, right? So then Nkem mentioned, do proper documentation with the bank before you leave. So sometimes, like there have been times when I traveled and I was using my card, because that's not the normal thing. You're using your card out of the normal place you usually use it. The algorithm may just block your card. They will think somebody is trying to steal from you. That's because you did not inform your bank ahead of time. So you want to inform them that I'll be traveling so time. I'll be in another country so time. So if they have to put a note or anything on your account or tell you what exactly to do, they will do it. So proper documentation with the bank is important. Then Kem talked about proper clothing. So if you are traveling abroad, try to buy a lot of jeans, especially if you are relocating. Jeans is something you are going to wear a lot. So if you have to buy, you know, buy jeans, buy canvas, buy normal tops. Then also buy winter clothing, right? And don't be like me, who is going to check in my sweater under the flight while the AC is destroying my life inside the flight. So put your clothing. That's another thing that one can put in their check-in, in their carry-on luggage. Your clothing, like your sweater or whatever you're traveling with, wear it or put it in your carry-on bag while you are traveling. Then there's this mistake. This thing cost somebody's life. So I think it's important. Though it may not happen to us young people, but who knows the person that is watching this? I don't know your age, you that you're watching. Okay. Don't forget your passport at home. There was this woman, My dad gave me this story. There was this woman, she wanted to travel, so she didn't want to make mistake of forgetting her documents. She prepared all her documents, she put it under her pillow. The next day, my earpiece is dead. The next day, the son actually changed so saw the mom's passport where she kept it, like under the pillow, and he felt like, mom is doing this, whatever, maybe let this document not get destroyed. He took the passport, put it in another place. When the mom woke up, the mom already had heart attack before they even knew what was going on. You understand? Like, it's like a grandma, right? The mom of the man that was traveling. So don't put your passport in a place where somebody is going to help you change it. You know, if you're putting it somewhere, even if you need to ask somebody to remind you, because at a panic stage, because some people too, they'll put their passport somewhere or their documents somewhere, they'll not even remember. And they're panicking. Where is my passport? Where is my passport? You don't even know. So if you need to ask your spouse, your sibling, or somebody that's staying with you, this is where I kept my documents, so don't, like, remind me in case I forget or something. Of course, you have to know. I did not say that maybe, let's say, for example, somebody is at NYSC camp. You're not going to tell your somebody that is sleeping beside you that, please, this is where I kept my document. You wake up, you not see it again. You know, so just know that you're talking to a trusted person. Even if you're not telling anybody, maybe record it on your phone, send it as a text message to yourself. This is where I kept my document, or this is where I kept my money. I've seen people like they will keep their document, they want to hide it, because sometimes people hear of, oh, your passport have visa, somebody will steal it. They will go and hide the passport, then they will forget where they hid it. There is a problem. Or they will even go to the airport and forget their passport. I don't know who had this. Like, I think there was a time Davido and his crew wanted to travel, something like that. They left passport at home, something like that. So, like, I don't know how that story went, but you can forget these things. So make sure that if you're leaving the house, you confirm that you're with your documents, right? Like, confirm, put it in your carry-on bag so that you're always with it. As Guna mentioned, don't check your documents inside your check-in, because your check-in bag, if you are going, let's say you're going from Ghana to America to US, when you check your bag in, the next time you're going to see that bag is in US. But imagine that in between you have to stop at Turkey. At Turkey, they're going to ask you for your document. You don't have it because it's inside your luggage, which is already on its way to US, you know? So take your documents should be inside your carry-on bag. I think we already mentioned that. Then, as you prepare for your trip, before that's, we're not talking about airport stage now. Let's say as you prepare for your trip, if you don't know something, ask question, Google it, you know, even if you don't have somebody to ask, Google it, find answers, you know. It's better to know. It's better to ask too many questions than to not ask question and then you don't know what to do. Then we talked about putting liquids in check-in bag. Again, you can check the rules of the flight. If a flight say don't take liquid in your check, and usually when they say liquid or not liquid, is about the bag you are carrying into the flight, not the check-in. So you can always put that thing that you are in doubt inside the check-in bag. Or if you are traveling with only one bag, check the bag in, so that you are not even in the issue of I don't know if you were accepted or I don't know. However, in the spirit of acting out of knowledge, if you check the flight, you see the rules. So if a flight say, oh, fluid that is more than 50 mils, put it in check-in. Fluid that is less than 50 mils, and let's say you have your perfume is small, you don't need to say I must still check it in, right? If you know the rules, then you know how to, you know exactly what to do. So don't even go with them, say check the flight and know what they're saying and what their rules are. Then weigh your bag at home. Don't wait, don't just pack and say, I think this is okay. Then you come to the airport, they weigh it for you, then you see that it's more than the weight. Then you start switching bag at the airport, buying bag at the airport. Many of these things you may not have planned for it. But now we're saying even plan for it, because anything can happen at any time. But it will be helpful if you can weigh your bag at home to know that you're not going above the kg that is allowed by the flight, right? Then plan your finances, have money at hand, right? these days, and if you are relocating, if you are traveling, say have money at hand, to do the normal small things you buy. If you are relocating, be aware of your living expenses and how you want to cover it. Some people, they will feel like, oh, don't worry, just like Guna mentioned before, don't worry, when I get there, I'll figure it out. You never know what you don't know. You just arrive, you see that. And here, let's say Canada here, you can be trying to wave somebody, they are not even stopping. In Nigeria, where like my original country, if you wave, before you wave 5 people, they will stop. You explain to them, they say, hey, yeah, hey, yeah. Yeah, somebody is not even really stopping for you to ask them question. Like, you are coming to somebody and they are moving the other side and they are really trying to avoid. It's like, why are you walking into me? I'm going. So, like, the culture is different. You don't even know how the culture shock is going to be. And like sometimes when people are applying for visa, they will ask them like, okay, how do you hope to cover your living expenses? Some people, they'll feel like, why do they want us to have this amount of money? But if you remember the example Guna had, which is money that normally she will use it to even book flights, suddenly it's not enough to take cab or taxi from the airport where she's going to. Like there can be just huge discrepancies between the spending rate in your country and the spending rate in another country. So you want to just do your research before that and know what things cost, know how to plan. If you are relocating, try to have money that you can use to survive within the first 2-3 months, even if you are low on cash, because you will just think that, yes, when I come, I'll get a job, but that's how you will not see that even for you to apply for the job, you have to pay transportation to go to the place. What if the job didn't come as fast as you wished? What will happen? So, and for people traveling with family, which we haven't talked about, for people traveling with family, this goes for you, your spouse, your kids. So when we're talking about carry on, like back to check-in, like if you are traveling with family now, right? Let's say you're traveling with a family of 3 people, so you bought 3 tickets. The luggage is not just for, like, it's not that all your family members, all your luggage should be 2 bags. No. Like, if it is 2 that is allowed, it means 2 for you, 2 for your spouse, 2 for your kids or your kid, depending on the type of tickets that you bought. So the whole point is what applies to you as per your flight ticket also applies to your spouse. So instead of you carrying one heavy, very, very heavy bag, or 2 very heavy bags, you are entitled to 2 bags. Your spouse is entitled to 2 bags. Perhaps buy their own and put their own things there, so that you spread it out as needed. Same thing for your children documents, for your husband document, for your wife document. Don't just prepare and say your own document is in place. Make sure their own document is also in place, right? And when you are traveling, make sure that you also have money for them, not just money for you. So everything we've said can be extrapolated for any other person who is traveling with you. Of course, if you're going to the airport on time, make sure everybody's going on time. And for family, it can be tricky because children can easily, let's say you are traveling with 2 kids, you are traveling with 3 kids. In fact, if you want to be at the airport 5 hours before, it is okay because you may need more time compared to somebody who is traveling alone. So if you're traveling with a family, be on your toes. Above all, for my own advice is, above all, make sure that you're on your toes. Things can change pretty fast. Like, things can change and you still not miss your flight, or you still travel if you are thinking sharp. But if you are like taking everything slow, you end up seeing that before you know it, your flight is missed. And imagine you are traveling with family, 2 kids, you and your husband, and you people miss your flight. That is 4 flights right there to rebook. Or even some flights, like some cheap flights, they will tell you that you cannot reschedule it. Like, if you miss it, you miss it. So be on your toes, arrive on time, I think. So let me leave the floor for who chip in your final comments. Mary, chip in your final comments or questions, and we can go from Emmanuel. Final thoughts. Obina. Okay, Okay, let's go to Nkem. Nkem, final thoughts. Maybe Obina is not ready yet.
Okay, I would like to say that they should take away their fears, and that they should just enjoy, because it's a journey, it's a lifetime experience. So everything should actually go as planned, irrespective of the obstacles they may face. That's just the truth. And then don't forget to always ask questions. My mom will say, someone who always asks questions doesn't get missing. So always ask questions and ask the right people the right questions. And that's all I have to say for now.
Thank you. Thank you. Obina, over to you. Thank you, Nkem.
Okay, so I believe that for everyone who's watching this video right now, if you've watched and got up to this very point, you must have had every other thing that every one of us have said so far. So I'll just only beckon on you, just pay good attention to all we've just said and take them seriously. Like we have, so what if you've seen so far, many of us here, we've talked about the issue of punctuality, timing, and all, and then also being very security conscious when it comes to receiving going on errands for someone, or helping someone take a bag or look over stuffs like that. These things can put one into trouble or can mess someone's trip up. Do what's right. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Gunan, over to you.
So to round up, basically, would say have fun, make memories as much as possible, have pictures, document your journey. Like Jane was able to write a book. So you see how even through your journey, you can even make money from the journey that you go on and all of that. So ensure that you document your journey, have pictures. So you don't even know when next you go on this kind of trip again. So you want to document so that you look back and then you're able to like really have fun and think back on all of the things that you encountered and did. So document, have better memories, and have fun.
Mary, questions and final comments.
Kim was talking about opening the right account for someone that wants to like relocate. I want her to like, I want, but first, what kind of say she made the mistake of opening the wrong account. I don't know, that part is a little bit dicey. I want to like to think.
When it comes to account opening, most times you find out that even when you're here, you still carry out transactions back in your home country and all of that. So just make sure, like I said, your ATMs, everything, you update them like they're the recent ones. And then the account I actually opened the domiciliary account, but the kind of account I opened was the wrong one, in the sense that the person who opened the account for me opened the one that is going to have the minimum in the account should be $10,000. I don't have that kind of money. That is what should be in the account. So any amount of money you put in the account, it reaches zero until it reaches $10,000 before you see your account balance. And that is that is not good for students.
Yeah.
So that was the wrong. So imagine having to call Nigeria all the time, airtime, emailing, and all of that. It took a long process before it was actually resolved. So I don't want anybody to go through the same like mistake and all of that. So that's why it's good to ask questions and then do your research as well.
Yeah, another thing I'm going to comment on that is if you just talk to your banker as well, like ask them like, okay, what kind of account am I going to need? I'm traveling. What kind of account? Oh, maybe I want to be able to make transactions while I'm in this country. What card is better for me? You know, they may be able to advise as well. If you ask them, they may be able to advise. Mary, any other final thoughts?
Actually, all of my questions have been answered. But one of the things that I've been having at the back of my mind was like, hey, this thought that hey, hope the plane will not nothing to put. I'll be like, hey, God, but we just meeting. I've been able to like, oh, okay, yeah, we have people that have gone and they are back, and nothing's going to be like. In fact, there are a lot of things that before now I actually thought that I can't even go with some things I want to go with. But now I have a better understanding that, oh, okay, actually, yes, it's just that you just need to go pass it through the right channel so that you're not on the wrong side of the law and everything. I've really, 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 really learned a lot. Like really, really learned a lot of things. a lot, a lot. And one of the things I know that I actually needed, because normally, before now, I thought, okay, if your flight is by 2:15, you're supposed to get there maybe like this is 30 minutes before. I never knew that 2:15 is actually the time the plane is supposed to leave. So I was like, okay, so when I was like, so definitely you need to come, like you have to be there before that time. Because
Yes.
normally, if we are boarding the normal bus, if you are they say that, okay, you're leaving by 6 a.m. You can't even get there like 6 to 6, like even you're like 5:50 and you're still going to meet you
Mm-hmm.
meet the but this one is like totally new. Like I don't even know that you have to get there 3 hours before. You have to check in. You have to show that you have to pass through the mission and all that. So it
Mm.
was like it was an eye opener because I get to learn a lot of things, and by the time I'm facing some of those things, I won't be surprised anymore because I already have a background knowledge of what to expect as a first time
Mm-hmm.
traveler. So
Mm.
it's really an eye opener for me. Thank you so much.
Wow, thank you so much. And I'm sure, please, if you're watching this and Mary is speaking your mind, please feel free to drop a comment. If you're a first time traveler and you watch this video, feel free to drop a comment, for us. We want to also hear your own feedback and all that. And so over to Jane. Jane, your final words for the person watching us.
Okay. Sorry. So to everyone watching us, just know that your dreams are valid. Your travel abroad dream is valid. With all of this that we are, you're sure going to have a memorable experience on your trip, right? That's what I have to say.
It's okay. Thank you so much, Jane. Yes, I think Daniel dropped off. Gunan already sent Daniel's message earlier. So, as a way of closing, first of all, I want to thank all the persons that came for this to help us talk to you that you're watching. You that you're watching, it's not easy to get people from different countries, and those that have traveled for the first time, those that have traveled multiple times, those that have traveled, so many other times, for everybody to come together and talk to you like this is a very unique opportunity. I'm happy for you that you got the opportunity to learn about these things. And I'm going to say knowledge is power, but that is when it is implemented. You can know everything you need to know, but without still applying the thing you have learned, you still see that you're making the same mistake, just like somebody who did not know. So if you're like me, you will have jotted so many things. You'll have jotted so many things from what everybody was saying. Go through them again after this session is over. Go through them again. Make sure you dot your I's and cross your T's, right? And that you implement. It's not that you're supposed to be there 3 hours before, but you eventually came, 30 minutes before. That's where there is a gap between your knowledge and your implementation. Implementation is king once you have already understood what to do. Daniel joined us back in, so I'm going to give him the opportunity to give his final words to you that you're watching. Daniel, over to you.
Okay, thank you so much, ma. I'm so sorry. I was actually on transit. I had to
That's
leave.
fine.
To our newest member in the Vantage family, I want to say that your experience outside Nigeria is going to be very, very amazing, and nothing would happen, nothing bad was going to happen to you. You travel and come back, and you have a wonderful stay wherever you find yourself. I wish you all the best, and with so much love. Bye bye.
Thank you so much, Daniel. Yeah. So thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much. It has been an impactful. I don't know how many. Maybe this is like close to 2 hours, if not more. It has been an impactful session. I myself, it brought back memories. So happy hearing from every other person's experience. And also, as you travel, you get your own experience. Let me even say it. There's almost nothing we'll tell you here that will still totally remove your own experience. Like at the beginning, I mentioned that I attended a pre-departure orientation, but in that pre-departure orientation, nobody told me that if I'm looking like this, they are going to, ask me to come for advanced security check, and I'm going to miss my flight, and many other things are going to happen. So it's like sometimes you can't even predict everything that is going to happen. But if you take the route of, irrespective of what is happening, you keep your cool, you wear your superhero cap, meaning that you know how Superman runs. Like even when they say Superwoman or Superman, you see all those cartoons. If you see them run, it's like the person with that thing flying at their back. Those super, as if they have superpowers, and they are jumping from Earth to to the moon. Wear your superhero cap. You can do it. Jump. Meaning whatever that needs to be done, just be doing it like on your toes and think on your feet. Don't like ask questions. Because if something is happening at the airport, before you call the person that is in your home country to answer you, you will have used the opportunity to ask the person the person in uniform around you, or the flight attendant, the flight customer service people, or some, So be on your toes. Think. Even all the things we didn't mention. I know you also have your own, brain, and you're able to think. Think. Come up with solutions. Sorry, my call dropped. Think. Come up with solutions. That is what matters the most. And above all, we are hopeful that your own trip is going to go all well. Please, for those that are anxious, see different people, all the persons here, we've traveled and we've returned multiple times. So your own will not be different. You travel, nothing will happen to your flights. So you travel, nothing will happen to your flight. If you are visiting, you will travel and you come. If you are relocating, you will travel. Even after some time, you when somebody say you are first time travelers, you'll be like, what's that? That was years ago. So don't worry, you're going to have your moments. Just wear your superhero cap. Make sure you arrive on time. Think on your feet. Okay? Again, Vantage Migration and our associates, all the Vantage Migration associates, put this travel abroad pre-departure orientation session together for you, because as Vantage Migration, we help people who want to relocate abroad, especially through the study abroad pathway, but also from time to time we sponsor people abroad, all expenses paid. So we've had a lot of people traveling, and we came up with the idea of doing this session. I hope you enjoyed it. Drop your comments. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you.